Hi everybody. Today's project should hopefully be one that's easy to do yourselves and pretty quick, and it's a combination of functional and aesthetic. And the goal today is to, let's see if I can do this here, is to replace the fuel vents with some styles, and this is the inside of the boat, but to replace my fuel vent with a flush mount style, with this one right here. So we'll see if we can get this done tonight, quick, while before I lose my little bit of light here. If you appreciate my videos, you can help me out. Go ahead and click that subscribe button that's somewhere over there. Let's just jump right into it. So in my boat, I've had to take away the interior panel to get access to the fuel vents, and this has made it real easy. And you can see down here, let's get some light in there. You can see that my vent lines come up here, and then they loop up. There's a big loop in there. They're tie wrapped together, and then they come down to the vents that go through. And these are the older style. There's screens in them. One of the screens got filled with wax, and then kind of trying to wipe it up, and it pushed through. And they're not easy to clean. And those new flush mount ones are easy to clean. You can take the vents out, the screens out, and clean them up, and they just look a little bit sharper. But the difference is that you have to take the old ones out, and you have to enlarge that hole just a little bit before you can put the new ones in. So we're going to clip off these tie wraps so that we can get the hoses out of the way. Take the clamps off. First, I'll make sure that the diameters are correct before I go and drill any holes. I want to make sure that the vent lines themselves will attach, and then we'll drill the holes out a little bit bigger and mount the new ones in. Should be pretty straightforward. So let's clip these off and take the lines off. Okay, so I've removed the hoses, and I've confirmed that indeed the new vents do have the right diameter. Phew, that's good news. So now we're gonna take these nuts off. That'll let the vents, the old vents, come out of the boat, and then we're going to increase the diameter of the hole in through the hull for the new vents. And you can see I've already put the washer here in place. That's the little silicone washer that seals it up against the outside of the hull. So with the back sides nuts off, now the old vents will come out. You can actually see that's where we lost the screen right there. It's probably either in here or might be in the pipe. And then we can take this guy out. There it goes. Alright, so now we have the old ones out, and now we've got to open up those holes because the new ones are not big enough. Now, I got this step drill bit here, and this is 1 3/8 for its largest diameter, and by my measurements, the large diameter on the flush mount is 1.3, so we'll probably just use that step drill bit to go all the way through the hole and clean that thing out, at least all the way in some amount of depth for the for this to get in there. So let me chuck that up and get started. All right, so what I've done is I've taped up the area that I'm gonna drill through. I don't expect a ton of gel coat chipping, but I've taped it up to try to minimize any that I might get. You also might be wondering why the hell I have this hole cut out in my shrink wrap. It's actually the end of April here, but the shrink wrap's still on because we've had a really cold April and there's been no good point to taking the shrink wrap off. And the way the shrink wrap is set up with my little zipper that I had them install, it makes actually a really easy setup for me to work on the boat now through the spring. So probably going to leave it this way for a little bit longer, but I don't want a whole bunch of the chips falling underneath the remaining area of the shrink wrap down there and rubbing away at the gel coat. So I taped it all up, and we'll keep any fiberglass chips out. So let's see how this goes. All right, so I think the holes now are all set, and so we'll peel this tape off and we'll feed these guys in, and then we'll start reassembling from the backside. So the nuts and washers are now on, and the flush mount ones come with this little bell-shaped washer, so that as the protruding side comes through the fiberglass, it can kind of stick through depending upon how thick the walls of the hull are. In my case, it only just barely stuck through, but it stuck through enough that when I used it without this bell cup, it couldn't really tighten up nicely against the hull. So I went and put the cup on when there's another little silicone washer there to give you additional protection against any water ingress, although I don't think that'll be a problem. And then I snugged this up. And so now I'm just going to put the vent lines back on, clamp them down, and I'll tie wrap them the way they were so that they stay in their vented position, so they're looped so that they provide a trap for any water that could try to get in otherwise. And then I'm just going to run the vacuum and clean up the fiberglass cuttings from drilling the hole. So let's take care of that now, and then we'll check it out from the outside. Okay, so with the hoses clamped on and everything all tightened and cleaned up, I now have 2 flush mount fuel vents all set. And now to clean these, you just can take this insert out and the screen comes out. You can clean it out, put it back, and no worries when you're buffing everything up or waxing it. It's all nice and tidy. Hope this helps.